WLS, it's the Steve Cochran Show, everybody. I'm Matt Bubala here today. Jane Klaus is next to me. Nick Gale's in the newsroom. And joining us right now for our Monday morning Vintage Tribune segment, it's Kori Rumore. Hey, Kori, how are you?
Hey, friends. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. What's going on in this week in history, in Chicago history?
Okay, so I took a look ahead to see what's coming up this week, and tomorrow, October 24th, marks 92 years since Al Capone went to prison for tax evasion.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
It's hard to believe that's going on 100 years. Chicago is still so ridiculously known for Al Capone, and that's almost 100 years old.
That's crazy.
Exactly right. Isn't that wild? I know. I feel like anywhere I go in the world, when I tell people I'm from the Chicago area, the first thing they think of is Al Capone, even though he's been dead for, I think, 76 years. So.
And if it's not Capone, it's what? It's Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah, first it's Al Capone and then it's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, if Michael could just overtake that a little bit,
Yeah.
that would be nice for us.
Give him a couple more years.
Totally. I completely agree. So I have a quick quiz for you to see what you know about Al Capone.
Oh, boy. Scarface.
That's all we know.
Okay, it won't be too hard, I promise, okay? So Al Capone was not born in Chicago. He was born and raised in New York City, and he moved here in 1920. And he just happened to turn 21 years old the same day as what historic event from 1920? Was it A, when women won the right to vote, B, Warren Harding elected president, or C, the start of Prohibition? What do you think? 21 years old. What do you think?
I want to lean into when women want to vote, but I'm not going to because it's Chicago.
And she put a lot of emphasis on
The
21.
21. Yeah, you really emphasize the 21 there.
Exactly. So I'm going with the Prohibition. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Exactly right. Good job, James.
Wow, you gave it away with your 21.
We appreciate that, too, by the way.
Thanks for the hint.
It was too ironic to not, yes, give you a little bit of a hint there. So, okay, number two, in the 1930s, Capone had earned a notorious recognition. What was it? Was it A, public enemy number one, B, chief of Gangland, or C, both? What do you think?
Well, both.
Was Chief of Gangland a real title? Was that on, like, his business cards? Who are you? Well, sir, I'm the Chief of Gangland. Well, congratulations on that.
Well, that's a new term.
Is that title only, or did you get a raise with that? I'm going to go both.
I'll go both, too, because in the 30s, Gangland was so, what?
Exactly right. Yes, you're totally right. Yes. And
Wait, it was
I
both?
looked it up. Yes, it was both, and it was actually the city of Chicago that put these terms on him. It said public enemy number one, and I looked it up. It was 4 years before the FBI started using that very same term. The very first person to be called public enemy number one by the FBI was John Dillinger. So the city of Chicago, I guess, was a little bit ahead of its time in that way, that they were singling people out, using that term, public enemy number one, and the Chicago Crime Commission used chief of Gangland. But they were trying to get him to testify. They were trying to get him in court. This was not long after the St. Valentine's Day massacre. So that's why they were trying to use the newspapers a little bit and use this a little bit to get him into the court system.
Right.
So they really used chief of Gangland.
So wait, was this sweet talking him? Like, hey, we'll call you Chief of Gangland if you'll testify.
Yeah, maybe.
Playing to his ego?
Yeah.
I'm
surprised.
That must have been it, right? It was front page news. They were trying to get him in there, and sure enough, it worked. He started testifying, and that's when he was found guilty not long thereafter. So, hey, I guess if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do.
Wow. Right. I'm surprised by that. It was both.
Kind of interesting,
we were
right?
wrong. Yeah.
I'm surprised that Chief of Gangland was the term. It seems soft. It doesn't seem tough enough, does it?
I think back then, Gangland was a big deal.
Where are you guys going this weekend? Are you going to Gangland or Kittyland? Which one? Well, we're going to try out Gangland. It sounds like fun.
Totally. All right, last one. Okay, let's fast forward. April 21st, 1986, the Geraldo Rivera hosted TV special.
I remember watching this. I was so excited for this stupid thing. Was that on GN? Who or was it on Fox 32?
Yes, Michael's saying yes.
It was GN. Yeah. Boy, they made
That's
a big
because
deal
it
out
was
of
a
that.
Tribune thing. Yeah, Tribune worked with WGN to make this thing happen. And so, I've done a bunch of research over the years. But if you watched it, then you probably know what happened. What was found inside the depths of Capone's former headquarters? What was there? Was it A? Was it jewelry, gold bars, machine guns? Was it B, bodies of Capone's enemies? Or was it C, a whole lot of nothing?
I mean, it was complete. I remember very well. It was completely nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, was there even like a desk in there, or was
I
it
don't think
just
there
a
was anything.
completely empty room?
Not even dust.
I think there was dust. Maybe not. That'd be a whole other suspicion. Yeah, it was such a bummer. And they did at least an hour show, maybe even longer, leading up to that. And it was just the biggest clickbait thing. I mean,
Right.
they invented
Such a
clickbait
letdown.
right
Of its
there.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, my gosh.
You got it right. And you know what's interesting? One of the producers of that special was from the People's Court, Doug Llewellyn. You remember the guy who had interviewed
Oh,
people
sure.
sticking him out? So I interviewed him a few years ago about this, and he thought, if nothing else, we have found this type of TV that's live, and we filled it with documentary information for people. And as it turned out, this whole thing, a couple of people I've spoken to over the years have said Geraldo found a new career in the vault because almost immediately the ratings were insane. Like you said, we all watched this thing, and Tribune actually signed Geraldo afterward to a long-term talk show contract. He had a talk show for like 10 years after this. So,
Wow. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, huge deal. And in case you're wondering what actually happened to Al Capone's riches and whatever else, he had 4 granddaughters, and those granddaughters moved to Northern California. And it was only last year that they decided to come forward and say, hey, we have all this stuff, and they auctioned it off.
Wow.
It's a fascinating story, and they have remained private for most of their lives. And so last year they decided we're getting older. Fires are a concern in Northern California. So honestly, they were concerned that some of these things were going to be lost in a wildfire. So that's why they decided, okay, it's time to part with this stuff. So that's where Al Capone's riches actually were.
Statute of limitations finally came up. We said, okay, we can auction this off now, make some money on it. Corey, how does everybody sign up for the newsletter to get the Vintage Tribune?
Okay, go to chicagotribune.com/newsletters. Sign up for Vintage Chicago Tribune, and I'll be in your inbox every Thursday afternoon.
Every Thursday afternoon. And can you give us a little preview of what's coming up next?
Well, I think Tuesday. Okay, so next Tuesday's Halloween, but it's also the 40th anniversary of the death of a very iconic person in the Chicago sports world. So that's what it's going to be about this week.
40th anniversary of the death of an iconic person in the Chicago sports world.
That's the hint. Corey, what are you going to do for Halloween? You going to have any celebration plans while you figure out the answers?
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old who loves to go trick-or-treating, so we're going to try. We'll see what the weather's like. We're going to try to get to a bunch of houses. We'll see.
Is that 87, Nick?
Yeah, so they're trying to figure out who the sports legend is while I
that's
stall
cheating, Nick. That's cheating.
and ask you about Halloween.
Put the keyboard down.
I'm putting it down.
87. All right. Thank you so much, Corey. We really appreciate being with us. We're going to figure it out off air. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Have a great week, friends. So nice to chat with you.